It's Danny Flexon here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined once again by unbeaten English heavyweight champion Fabio Wardley. Fabio, how are you doing?
I'm good, mate. How's things been? How have you been?
I'm very good, thank you. I haven't quite got the guns that you've got, so I'm not showing them off to the same extent, but hard at work. Yeah, that's what we like to see. You're back out July the 9th on the Chisora Pulev 2 undercard. Any idea of opponent or level of opponent, if not a specific name?
No specific names. Level is a region kind of, we're aiming for that kind of former world title contender, top kind of 20-30 region, people who have been in the mix. Good, smart, durable fighter. Someone who's just been around the block a few times. Obviously, we've had a few of the ones where they've gone quite quickly, quite easily and stuff. And as I've said for a while, like, it's not really something I'm wanting to do. Don't get me wrong, it's all fun and games, being in there for a round or two and getting home early and getting paid and whatever. But ultimately, I need those rounds in. I need that ring time experience because it's going to come sooner or later. And I don't want it to catch up to me at too much of a later date. So I want to try and get that in as soon as possible. So hopefully, whoever we decide on next is the right man for that job.
You're back at the O2, fifth professional outing there. It must start to feel like a second home for you by now.
Yeah, that's what I said kind of on my announcement post today. I was fighting there. It's my home away from home. Like it's the mecca for me, at least, of UK boxing. It's where some of the biggest shows have been. It's a great venue for boxing as well. Everything is right on top of each other. And when it's a good packed night, the place in there is absolutely buzzing. So I love it. It's definitely my favourite place to box, and I can't wait to get back in there.
Now, the main event, as we said at the start, is Chisora against Pulev in their rematch. There's been a lot of talk about whether it's wise, sensible for Chisora to carry on boxing at this stage of his career. We're not in a position to tell people when to retire, of course, but what do you make of his decision to keep going?
Ultimately, I feel like you can tell very clearly if someone's on a massive decline. And I feel like with him, he's still all there. He's still very cognitive. He's still with his speech isn't particularly slurred or anything at all. He's not fading in that way. Now, that's not obviously the cue to tell everything that might be going on with him internally or whatever else. But if he's fit enough to get himself through camps, and you see the way he puts him through camps, he puts his body through rigorous training. So he's getting through those. And the same thing on fight nights as well. He's still able to perform at a high level. He's not looking... It's weird, though, because he's not looking like he's almost taking his foot off the gas. He's still coming in, giving it 1,000%, sticking it on fighters, really going to work. So it's not even like he's just slowing up as he gets older. He's really just maintaining that good, solid pace.
Now, my colleague Josh Green spoke to Nathan Gorman yesterday. He's obviously got a fight tomorrow night as we film this in Liverpool. He said he thinks a fight with you could happen before the end of the year. But when I've spoken to you previously, you're not sure it's going to be that soon. What's the latest in that regard?
Yeah, no, I'd probably agree with him. I'd probably agree with him. Before the end of the year, it doesn't seem like a problem. The question mark for me previously was Nathan's activity. That was the only thing for me, is that he had a lot of time off, and I was pretty sure that he would have wanted a fight before going into a fight with me, something of that level. So that was probably my only thing, is I didn't know where he would be at with that, whether it be sooner, later, whether he'd want one, maybe even two. But him having that obviously fight coming up tomorrow, and then a fight looking likely for us at the end of the year, kind of fits a good schedule for us.
Now, he had a bit of an issue with the board's recent mandate that you guys fight for your English title. His thinking, and I kind of sympathise with it, that Joe Joyce is now beyond British and Commonwealth level, still holding the belts, and you're well beyond, I would say, now English level, but still holding the belt. Well, what's your view on that? And just from your perspective, why are you keeping hold of that title?
Yeah, me and Nathan are in agreement on that, to be honest. It's not even necessarily that I'm holding on to it. It's just not really been a thought. Like I've not thought. Like my last opponent wasn't for the English title, so it's not really something I'm particularly considering. Not to almost sound arrogant, but I've not forgot that I've had it, but I've just not really paid it that much attention to think, oh, actually, I need to relinquish this. So that's a conversation me and the team need to have about doing that, but doing it strategically in a place where it will then line me up for the British title, because, like I say, me and Nathan are on the same page, and that's the fight between us two is much bigger than an English title. He's previously fought for the British title, so it's obvious that he's at that level. I'm definitely at that level with the caliber of opponents that I've fought previously, and I've already, like, I fought for my English title. I won that. And I've defended it in one as well with the Nick Webb fight. So I've done all that. I feel like that fight's ticked off. Whereas with Joe Joyce, he hasn't defended his British belt at all. So it's almost kind of a bit strange and unfair that I'm being asked to defend mine again in a time where Joyce hasn't been asked to defend his once.
Yeah, I mean, Joyce is now #1 contender for a world heavyweight title. I'm sure he has no plans to defend that British. Why do you think he's keeping it for the moment?
Probably the same thing. He's just not paying it no mind. It's nice to still keep in your Twitter bio or whatever else and say no on
the trophy cabinet.
Yeah, literally, it's nice to still hold on to that until the absolute last minute. He was probably thinking that the board would maybe order a fight, maybe even me versus him or something like that, and then he'd go, right, I've got no interest in that, relinquish, and then move forward. He was probably waiting for a certain situation like that, which I could probably say something I was waiting for the English as well. But I just wasn't thinking it would be with Nathan Gorman. I thought it would be with someone of a lower level where I'd then go, okay, cool, I'm not interested in that. I'm moving on to bigger things.
Now, talking of Joyce, he's coming back the week before your fight against Christian Hammer. I understand they want to keep him busy while he's safeguarding that position. But surely someone of Hammer's level, that's more a fight for you. And maybe even you're beyond that now.
Yeah, definitely. Hammer was someone that we had in question marks for the obviously for my fight on the 9th as well. So it was someone we were looking at. It was a name on the list of contention. But obviously, we got told that he had the Joyce fight lined up. So, yeah, it's for him, like it's a risk versus reward thing, isn't it? Where he doesn't want to take that much of a risk to kind of potentially throw himself at that world title contention, throw him out of place. So you do enough to kind of get by in that situation, and hopefully he makes it through.
You're managed, of course, by Dillon White. He came up short, unfortunately for him, against Tyson Fury last time out. What did you make of that, and have you spoken to him much since?
Yeah, I've spoken to him loads since, not even particularly about the fight. I think his sentiment towards that is obvious, that he's disappointed in the loss. He felt like he could have done some things differently in that fight, but hindsight is obviously the best thing for the situations like that. And it's not always in the moment. You may make a decision which may take you left or right. And unfortunately, it didn't go his way on that night. And there's no shame in that. Fury's a high level operator, and he took his chance and he didn't get through. But that doesn't mean he's done for. It doesn't mean he's got nothing left. There's still loads more options for him out there on the scene. So it's just interesting to see what he comes up with next.
What would you like to see him do?
I'd like to see him just get one to get back, more so. Just one to ease in. Now, we know what Dill's like. He'll never take an easy fight. But somewhere kind of that high medium level where he can be a nice, good testing fight, get some rounds under him again, get stuck in and really kind of lay it on someone. And then going into maybe early next year, maybe the Wilder fight, maybe depending on how Joshua and Usyk plays out, maybe the Joshua fight, something like that. Like, I think that fight would always be a great fight between them two. I think it's always going to have something between them. So they're options for him, but he's always going to be in that big name contention.
Talking of the Joshua Usyk rematch, or Usyk Joshua, I should say, now he's the champion. Well, who do you see coming out on top, and how much of an impact do you think bringing in Robert Garcia as an additional trainer will have, if at all?
I think it definitely will have an impact. Definitely, it will definitely. Robert's a very experienced trainer. He's had a lot of time in the game. He knows his stuff. So I'm sure there's stuff he can bring into the camp, bring into Joshua and implement with him and get him to excel and be better in areas. But whether he has enough time to put together the full package in terms of getting ready for someone like Usyk is a different question entirely. Sometimes in those situations, especially coming from working with Rob McCracken for so long, to then, one, you have to shift yourself out of a style and then shift yourself into a new one. That's not an easy process. So it will be interesting to see what comes out. But for me, I do feel like the outcome will probably be the same, more than likely. I'll always back a fellow Brit. Like, I'll always want AJ to win, but in that situation, I just think maybe it's not too little too late, but he just may not have enough time to get all the things in front of him that he needs to.
As we're talking about the heavyweights, there was a big fight announced and then quickly postponed, unfortunately, between Hughie Fury and Michael Hunter. A really intriguing fight, I think. I'm not sure how exciting it will be on the night. What do you make of that one? And how far do you feel you are from that sort of level? Because that's not quite top world level. It's kind of bottom half of the top 10, I'd say.
Mm. Yeah, I think you said that right. Like when it was announced stuff, it was a bit like, oh, actually, hang on, that's interesting. But then you think about it, maybe stylistically, maybe it could. I've said before, maybe they could cancel each other out, and it might not be the most entertaining. So there's always that possibility with that. But in terms of the level, I don't think I'm particularly far off that. Maybe 3 fights, 4 fights, something like that. Maybe like the British title fight, then a good level after that, and then I'm kind of there in the mix, really.
How do you feel about all the kind of new heavyweights on the scene? Because that's where you were a few years ago. You've now got Olympians turning over. You've got non-Olympians as well turning over with the various different promoters. Does that give you extra impetus to kind of kick on and get to the level you want to get to?
I feel like the old dog now. It's weird.
I was going to say, does it make you feel old? But that seemed too different.
Yeah, it does a bit. It does. It's a weird one because I still feel pretty young, but then like the younger guys are coming through and they're asking me for advice on stuff. I'm like, oh, what do you think about that? And I'm going, hang on, man, I'm still fucking figuring this out myself. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's great that the hustle and bustle of the UK scene is so busy. It's great for us. That means there's so many great fights out there, so much to watch, and also for me as well, it means there's always great sparring out there as well. Good, young, hungry people that always want to have a good tear up in the gym. So it's nothing but good things for UK boxing.
Is there anyone particularly to pick out through sparring that you think, could go a long way? Anyone whose potential you've seen up close?
I think Johnny Fisher is probably one of the ones for me. But maybe that's a little bit biased because I've spent the most time in terms of sparring with him. Sure. So I've been able to see a lot more of his game, whereas some of the other guys I haven't been able to see as much. But definitely, I think he's one for the future. He could definitely do some things. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes forward.
Just before I let you go, kind of standard softball question to round off. What can people expect from you on July the 9th at the O2? And on the Zone, of course.
They can expect something a little different from me. I've been working on some different things with the team, kind of behind the scenes and stuff. So we've been adding some new bits into the game, and obviously we've paid attention to the kind of criticisms of me starting slow in fights as well, and that's definitely something that's out the window and done with now. So there's going to be a little bit different. Your usual things that the fans are happy to see, but there's going to be a few new bits in there as well.
Are you planning to come out southpaw for the first round?
Yeah, that's my plan. Southpaw and sprint at him from the first bell. They're my two.
straight left hand knockout.
Windmills.
Good stuff. Really appreciate it, mate. Best luck with the rest of your camp, and yeah, look forward to the fight on the 9th.